When it comes to the number one hero in One Punch Man who will always guarantee a laugh, there's only one hero that springs to mind. That is of course
Saga.
Yeah, Saitama is funny, but remember, King, he's hilarious. Oh yes, it's all bullshit, but he is the hero's hero and ranked number 7 in the hero rankings. So according to One Punch Man's logic, we can deduce just by their ranks that King solo Saitama. I'm just saying, thanks for watching, goodbye.
Stop the cap.
Okay, I know just saying that has triggered about 99% of you. I'm sorry. I know it's blasphemy to even mention, and we know the rankings mean nothing to Saitama. Saitama is above all. He is limitless, and we actually explained how he unlocked his true power in a previous video. But what if I told you King does have a quality or two that actually surpasses Saitama? How would you react?
You're full of shit.
Today we will be breaking down who and what King is in the story of One Punch Man. A lot of you haven't read the webcomic and frankly can't be bothered. Let's be honest, that's why you hit the notification bell for the channel, because you knew, oh wait, I'm subscribed to Anime Balls Deep, they're gonna cover that shit anyway, right?
Of course! Now yes, that door did a pretty decent job at protecting me, but you know what would have done better? NordVPN. The best VPN service out there. Who? Come on, you guys know who NordVPN is, right?
No.
If you guys use our link in the description and pinned comment with nordvpn.com/animeballsdeep, you get an exclusive deal plus a huge discount.
Nice.
NordVPN is super easy to use, where you just connect with one click on the map with over 5,300 servers in 60 countries. Or just turn on auto connect for 0-click protection, so you are always protected. I know you guys be on those dodgy sites sometimes, you know, for research purposes. It happens to the best of us. And boy, do I wish I had NordVPN back then. With NordVPN being available on every major platform from Windows, Android, iOS, Mac, Linux, and even Android TV, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description or the pinned comment with nordvpn.com/animeballsdeep and get protected with this exclusive deal and special discount with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Now, back to the video.
So here we are explaining everything about the one person who is the closest thing Saitama has to a friend. Please cue the epic music. Regarded as the strongest man on earth, King flew through the ranks in an instant by showing his insane strength. However, it is apparent that there's more than what meets the eye about him. This guy essentially lied about everything and lives off the millions that are provided to him for protecting people. He garners respect, validation, and love, even though he doesn't deserve any of it. Okay, this might sound a bit harsh. He's still a good guy. It's just the lifestyle he lives is not one he actually earned. Rather, it was gifted to him by the universe. Sort of. He stole Saitama's clout.
He copied my whole fucking flow!
So before becoming one of Earth's mightiest heroes, King was what people would call a NEET. For those unaware, the term NEET stands for not in employment, education, or training. He used to play video games about his favorite waifus for most of his days. In fact, he was just like us guys, or you guys watching the videos. But unfortunately, King was ashamed of admitting that to Saitama. However, after just a few incidents, King went from NEET to a S-class hero. Seriously, when Child Emperor developed a machine that could read one's power level, with 5 being the power level of a dog and 30 a human, King scored unreadable. Child Emperor presumed that King was so strong that he broke the machine. Shivering and anxious at all times, King couldn't bring himself to say the truth about his ability, since the benefits of playing hero were far too good to miss up on. Think about it, my man has unlimited fame, unlimited money, he even looks like a freaking Giga Chad swimming in that pum pum. You know what I'm saying? Would you guys give that shit up?
Hell no.
Despite that though, as soon as he is in trouble, he admits that he no longer wants to be a hero, but he doesn't have the courage to tell the truth. However, when there are moments when he's finally ready to spill the beans, something happens that prevents him from letting the truth be known, or it will be interpreted incorrectly, and this is all due to his unique power of luck having an attribute that prevents it. Now of course, Saitama is different. He knows exactly what is going on, but Saitama doesn't care and he values his friendship. This brings us onto King's character and his immense secret power that everyone loves to talk about, because it actually conveys a very important message in the story of One Punch Man. Now before I bore you with all the philosophy and you all hit the snooze button right now, you're about to hear it, aren't you? I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. Look, King serves as the extreme opposite of Saitama. Saitama is the strongest human ever. He's literally limitless. Yet he isn't world famous or recognized for his philanthropy. Nobody knows the guy who has saved them multiple times, but they know and love King, the one who takes Saitama's achievements for himself. Both of them share a bond, even though the world's reaction to the two individuals is extremely unfair and juxtaposed. At the end of the day, King is a satirical character. His inability to say no to the money, fame, and validation led him to agree that he is the strongest man on earth, even though he has never fought anyone. King's story is a commentary on society because we live in one, and also the other self-centered heroes. He is a mirror towards them. He solidifies the inherent flaws in the hero association and their ranking methods. Heroes like Saitama and Moomin Rider are never truly appreciated for their efforts, whilst most heroes simply work for the points by forming groups such as Fubuki, whom only focus on saving people for their merit. But to be honest, who's gonna deny joining Fubuki's group? I would join for multiple reasons. Noble ones, of course, you know what I'm saying, once again. Nah, don't expose. Cut the video. Back to the point. We even see characters like Amai Mask, and later on in the story in the webcomic, there are heroes that try to further their idol career through good publicity. They treat being a hero as a marketing scheme rather than a fight for the safety of the people. However, the reason is pretty clear why King's immense power of luck doesn't affect Saitama. It's because he might be outside these themes and the rules for his luck power to even activate. And we know Saitama is a hero for fun, hence the name King. King doesn't abide to other laws, they make their own path. King's power has parameters that need to be fulfilled for it to work. One being that society, heroes, and monsters have to believe in the idea of him being powerful, much like a faith. Therefore, those who strive for power and greed are affected by King's power. His ability is tied to his backstory, of course, and this is when we explain where King was attacked by the octopus clawman, resulting in his iconic scars. He was saved by Saitama back when he was still training to be a hero. He still had his full head of hair. It's also quite funny and parody-ish how both of these guys suffer some irreversible changes in the way they look, and it worked well for one of them, whilst the other, it ended up with their name being Cape Baldy. Which again shows the juxtaposition between the two. Saitama would go on to save his life 5 more times by eliminating monsters, including Vaccine Man, but King would always and unwillingly get the credit because he accidentally slipped into the remains of Vaccine Man's blood on the floor. Whilst these mishaps keep happening, King has always respected Saitama and is grateful for the bond the two share as well. For King, Saitama is pretty much the only guy he can show his true self to. As for Saitama, King offers him advice on issues and they play and share video games, which is one of the only sources of Saitama's entertainment in his mundane, broken life. Once, King met Saitama in a deserted street and told him he was going to buy some manga when he noticed that Saitama looked to be under the weather. King and Saitama share a deep philosophical philosophical conversation about being a hero. He gives Saitama some insightful advice, though he copied it from a manga, but he invites Saitama to play video games. And this is actually pretty important, as Saitama's bottled emotions seem to be coming back to the surface. Knowing the true strength of Saitama, it is quite scary to imagine what would happen if he were to throw a fit of rage. This almost happened recently with his fight against Garou occurred. He threatened to destroy the entire planet with a single punch. Saitama can lose his cool simply because of the lack of something fun or hard for him to do, or an inconvenience in his life, even about groceries, as he starts to lose the meaning and value of life. Because of being limitless, he felt like he gained nothing from multiple experiences that occurred recently in his life, stopping his growth and meaning as a person living on Earth. This is a dark cycle to get into, as it could lead Saitama into depression. He even admits to King that he is lonely. If this mindset went on further, it would prevent him from wanting to help and save others. Furthermore, it would have been a bigger problem if Saitama exploded out of frustration due to his inability to find strong opponents, causing him to run wild on the planet in search of one. Please remember, in chapter 1, Saitama's freaking dream literally is to fight a good opponent to feel that exhilaration once again. So if he doesn't, this could lead to mass destruction. I know it seems like we're kind of reaching here, but Saitama has managed to find mental peace due to people like King sticking with him. Saitama doesn't have a limit on his physical strength, but there's surely a limit to his emotions. If Saitama was left alone with his thoughts and negative stimuli constantly that are making him feel stagnated in life, there's no guarantee what Saitama will do. King's speech in itself is a perfect representation of speeches that main characters deliver in shonen anime, and One Punch Man creates a parody of it. King's speech informs Saitama that he will not reach his full potential if he only tunnel visions and sees through the lens of power. To become the ultimate hero and person, he must ditch his god complex and simply become more in touch with his human side. Although Saitama is limitless in power, he isn't in other categories as a human. Humans should strive for purpose and live life in the moment for as long as they live, and that's why he should view life through a different lens, offering him a challenge in video games whilst handicapped, because it's an example of something Saitama isn't limitless in. At the end of the day, King has complete faith in Saitama because of his boundless strength in many ways. He trusts him to the point of facing down Elder Centipede with only him as backup, not knowing if he will even show up. This is how it went down.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
We know that King and Saitama share an amazing bond, and that the only time Saitama ever loses is against King, that being in video games. Like literally. You remember that we mentioned how King asked Saitama to come play games with him? Like I just mentioned earlier, King said he would handicap himself to face Saitama. The strongest man proposed a handicap match where he'd only use 2 fingers and he still won. Honestly, it is refreshing to see Saitama lose for once, and even for him, this has become a comfort activity. He knows that nobody can touch him outside, but in this game, he's the one getting obliterated.
Okay, now this brings us to the Hero Association Saga. During the invasion of the Dark Matter Thieves in chapter 30, King is standing on top of the Hero Association's headquarters alongside the other S-class heroes. King then observes the giant spaceship. His King engine fires up as he simply states that there is nothing he can do. In response to their puzzled glances, he says that the target is too high in the sky for him to assault, and that they should take advantage of the chance to summon Metal Knight instead. Immediately, Tatsumaki complains, calling King pitiful for failing to take the initiative against the enemy who has already destroyed a city yet is still revered as the world's strongest man. Super Alloy Darkshine, however, threatens threatens Tatsumaki that if she enrages King, he may murder. Now, let's venture deeper into King's plot armor, or look, whatever you want to call it, through a series of events. In chapter 39 of the manga, we were in the King arc. Whilst walking home, Tongue Stretcher, a weirdo and a monster, was on his perverse assault on a pedestrian woman. King was trying to keep a low profile and hide his identity, hence was completely covered and looking down as to avoid any eye contact. Due to this, he ends up standing next to this mysterious being as his cover is blown off by the wind, revealing his fierce and malicious stare along with his King engine. The King engine obviously kicked in due to anxiety after his cover was blown, but this startles Tongue Stretcher at first and then throws him into the depths of utter despair as he's overwhelmed by the menacing aura. Anyway, to add fuel to the fire, someone recognizes King and starts yelling about how Tongue Stretcher is essentially fucked. Hence, the monster was traumatized forever and surrendered. Spectators cheer King as the monster is reportedly suffering a seizure from the endless sobbing. So as you can see from chapter 30 and 39, the scenarios are very similar. The story is making it clear how King's power activates. People have to believe in his reputation and view him through that lens, which will make his power do the rest of the work and save his life. Moving on though, King is minding his own business, rather his neat business this time, as he's trying to buy a game called Doki Doki Sisters. Like a daily chore, another monster pops up in the area. Behind him lands a giant robot who introduces himself as G4, a machine god created by the organization. And yeah, just so you know, I've not forgot their name. They are just literally called the organization.
Well, that's just lazy writing.
G4 claims that it's time for the strongest man on Earth to die. Someone recognizes King and shouts out his name. The fleeting pedestrians stop and form a crowd cheering behind him, convinced that everything will be fine now that King is here. Questioning the robot's origin, King warns it of his title as the rank 7 S-class hero, King, the strongest man on Earth. This is quite alarming too, to be honest. Like, yeah, he's a strong hero, but like, why aren't these guys running for their life? Like, hello, the so-called machine god just appeared. Like, you should probably run. Worldstar isn't going to pay you for recording this fight, you know. G4 doesn't care anyway and starts swinging a massive ass sword. Well, King is against someone who's probably a demon level threat, and it doesn't seem like Saitama is here. So, how could he possibly get out of this one? Well, by telling the monster that he's got to go to the toilet, of course. Duh. And guess what? It worked! While only for 10 minutes before G4 slaughters everyone anyway, it is something, I guess. King starts hyperventilating as he realizes that his intimidation doesn't work on a robot. Hearing of the impending destruction, which unbeknownst to him is actually Genos facing the robot, King attempts to formulate a plan for a moment but fails to come up with one. What about all the people left behind as hostages, you may ask? Well, not King's problem. They stopped there because of their own free will, alright? As I've already said, it was extremely risky and, dare I say, stupid for them to stay behind in the first place, okay? So as far as I and King are aware, they deserve what's coming to them. Now, returning to his apartment, King starts up his game system to relieve himself of the stress and debates about what name to use. I mean, it's gotta be so hard to leave that many people behind to die, right? Wrong. All you need is some game subs and everything is completely fine. Remember, code ABD for 10% off. Link in the description. Saitama suggests that he use his hero name and only then does King notice him. This was the duo's first proper conversation. King was bewildered though. He lives on the 22nd floor of his complex and Saitama said that he just climbed up there like my guy's just got like chakra shoes on or something. Either way, King King attempts to frighten him off by taking advantage of his reputation as an S-class hero, but Saitama doesn't care, merely expressing surprise at the fact that King bought a dating simulator. King tries to cover it up by claiming that he was actually trying to buy an action game but mistook the title for one. Bro, it's called Doki Doki Sisters. What was you thinking? Saitama then suggests that they should play one involving robot battles instead, as he believes that King ran away from the robot because he was bored. Yes, that's right, no matter how strong Saitama gets, his brain will always remain to be just as smooth as his bald head. King reluctantly plays the robot game instead, visibly uncomfortable. Saitama then casually asks him about fleeing from G4, noting that Genos is fighting in his place instead, causing King to spit out his juice in shock and his heartbeat to quicken in an attempt to find a suitable answer to Saitama's questions, unaware that Saitama believed that he had found a kindred spirit in him, someone that was bored of fighting weak characters, sharing a common outlook. So sorry Saitama, but you quite genuinely on this occasion couldn't have been more wrong. Later, a demon level threat attacks King's apartment. As Saitama kills it with a single punch, King, who was shit scared, ends up pissing his pants as he admits how pathetic he is and how everything about him is a lie. While someone would usually be mad, Saitama simply asks King if he's okay. At which point King realizes that Saitama was the hero who saved him that day and the person who killed all those mysterious beings we explained earlier in the video. King then apologizes for unfairly taking the credit from Saitama, but he brushes it off like it's literally nothing because, well, it's Saitama, innit? Instead, he starts interviewing King, asking whether it was fun pretending to be a hero whilst being scared and whether he would continue or give up hero work. King replies to all of his questions, to which he just gets a just get good bro kind of answer, as Saitama tells him to just get stronger. Since that fateful day, besties and started playing video games together. Okay, now this leads the story into the Monster Association arc. King was obviously expected to lead the heroes, and well, he kinda did. He motivated them and did all that kind of stuff, but when it came to fighting, my man dipped. None of the heroes wanted him to leave, obviously, but King smartly said that he's gonna go and attack from the other side alone as he's that strong, and well, who's anyone to disagree with him? He's King. During the earlier parts of the arc, Genos, Bang, and Bomb were fighting the Elder Centipede in an attempt to stop it in its tracks and prevent any large-scale destruction. However, they soon realized that they can't deal with this threat alone. Hence, they send an emergency buster call to King and Saitama, asking the two of them to help defeat this catastrophe. Using some secret information, King masterfully taunts and angers the Elder Centipede, forcing the monster to attack King directly in a straight line, making it a perfect target for Saitama. By the time Elder Centipede realized what was happening, it was too late. Saitama had loaded up one big ass serious punch and one-shotted the monster in a second. After this, Saitama mentioned how he felt relaxed and happy, as almost all of his frustration had been released. King also advises Saitama to make his attack less predictable, as enemies tend to scurry away in the face of his power. Either way, King unintentionally ended up helping Saitama mentally whilst helping protect the world, and gave him even more fame through the defeat of Elder Centipede. As this arc progresses further, a special S-class meeting is set up to formulate strategies and rescue Waganma. You know, the little dickhead who was captured by the monsters. Who cares about him? There, a Mai Mask, Flashy Flash, Zombie Man and Tatsumaki were involved in heavy arguments over others' performances and petty fights over personality differences. As King takes his seat, they notice how his shirt is stained with the colour of red all over. They stop their bickering as they assume that they were blood marks, as King was fighting monsters and protecting the cities all night. Well, it is true that King's previous night was legendary. It's just that it wasn't against monsters, it was over hot pot at Saitama's place. Oh, this guy.
Can I get a waffle?
Can I please get a while?
King later shares all of the info with Bang, Bomb, Genos and Fubuki. All of them decide to join the fight immediately and help with the attack on the Monster Association. Since Saitama was MIA, Genos decides to stay back and wait for his master to arrive. The rest leave Saitama's place to fight alongside King, who is clearly reluctant to join the fight. As we mentioned before, King was supposed to lead a unit but left the job to the others and took his own way, hoping to hide out and wait until things had calmed down. Not gonna lie, okay? I think between me and you, King's got every right to be just a little bit anxious and scared. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, in a sewer-like tunnel, King finds Waganma, the kid who this whole war is about in the first place. If King brings him out to safety, then Tatsumaki could essentially turn the whole Monster Association upside down with ease and defeat everybody. However, King doesn't believe that he can take the boy to safety for apparent reasons. When the boy refuses, King says that going with him would only lead him to despair. Interesting choice of words, right? King even had his King engine on, by the way. Gladly, King's sheer anxiousness and fear saved him. It turns out that a demon-level monster had transformed into Waganma and was planning on killing him. We know that King isn't strong and definitely would have died to that monster's attack, but King's utter refusal of moving alongside the boy, his King engine and weird choice of words led the monster into believing that the hero was skeptical about his facade. As usual, his power of luck was on King's side, causing the monster to cower in fear so much that they literally died and turned into a pile of goo. King's tale of godly luck doesn't end there either, as he encounters Tario by chance. Poor King suffers from PTSD after the incident with Waganma and hence starts yelling at him to drop the act and reveal his true form. Tario was obviously confused, but he stopped running as he was a little scared. The way that King was yelling at him reminded me how, you know, like how you'd walk through the dark and you'd tell that those like invisible ghosts, so fuck, you're not real. I ain't believing you. But deep down, yep, you're scared shitless.
I was acting.
The same did actually happen with King though. There was an invisible monster preparing to attack King and Tario when they got too close. However, the monster felt like King could sense it because, well, he's the king, and fled the scene immediately. This proves to us that King's power doesn't even have to be consciously activated, because the monster was speaking to himself and believed in his superior power. That tells us that the parameters of King's powers are always on and will enact out an event that will save his life. Hence, the two made their way to the elevator in peace. Now, King's luck continues some more, as they survive the strongest attack in the elevator. Now that King has got his guard down, he simply enters the elevator as he believes that his traumatic experiences have finally come to an end. However, Orochi had been tracking them all along and intended to absorb them now. Luckily though, one of Saitama's punches created a huge shockwave, shooting both King and Tario upwards at a very fast speed. And whilst this was dangerous, the two were unharmed and narrowly managed to avoid being devoured by Orochi. Later, the heroes were at a disadvantage. It looked hopeless for their survival. And that's exactly the time for the world's strongest hero, King, to shine, right? His presence froze monsters right where they were, even though they were dragon-level threats. After stalling, King unleashed his ultimate Hellfire Burst Wave motion cannon attack, which Child Emperor referred to as King's ultimate secret killer move. This massive blast of energy seemingly defeated Platinum Sperm and whoever else was caught in it, when in actuality, it was Garou who had blitzed through all of these monsters and demolished them. His timing just so happened to be immaculately matched with King's. Garou was just so fast that he was basically invisible to the naked eye, thus solidifying King's legacy as the world's strongest hero once again. Now here's the thing, King doesn't have any superpowers, right? So is it just a gag with no explanation whatsoever? Plot convenience maybe? Well, whilst that wouldn't be a problem for what King's character represents, one has stated that King has a passive ability of sorts. They also also called it meta look. In short, all of King's look isn't a fluke or just something to chalk off, it's an actual ability. Oh, but that is so overpowered and broken. Well, yeah, the main character can blow literally anything away in one punch. The current antagonist is a literal god, and this is a superhero manga. What did you expect? Now, one could say that King's power is too strong since he has stated that he encounters major threats daily. So, what does the scale show? Saitama and King are in the same echelon in a sense, as their powers could potentially give them boundless strength. Now, to explain it a little bit better, here is an example from the webcomic. During the end of the arc, King was enjoying some rotation sushi to get over the extreme experience he went through in the past few days. Atomic Samurai and his apprentices end up in the same restaurant and instantly recognize King casually dressed. After the war against the Monster Association, Atomic Samurai is a little agitated, it seems, and wants to take on challenges to prove his strength. Hence he decides to take on King, as he is the strongest man in the world. This dare takes King by surprise, and he chokes on his food, which Atomic Samurai misinterprets as laughter, causing him to take note of King's bravery. As his coughing subsides, King lifts up his chopsticks, prompting him to use an atomic slash on a nearby apple, leaving King petrified. Atomic Samurai tells King to step outside to settle this. King, too scared to say anything to get himself out of the predicament, just stands there, shivering madly in anticipation of his approaching destiny. Atomic's students, however, misinterpret his fear for bloodlust and his lack of form for layers upon layers of fates, because, well, do I even have to say it? He's King. Atomic Samurai calmly watches but grows tired of the standoff, and when he finally attacks, King raises his voice, signalling that it's time to call a halt. He finally has a plan. King then proceeds to fake his way out of the fight by arguing about a nonsensical phenomenon that he calls the Dolzenebring reaction, which would result in far too many casualties for such a conflict to be considered a heroic effort. He also talks about how their fight wouldn't make any sense, especially at a time as dire as this when heroes are needed everywhere, which I mean, is a pretty good point. All in all, King's look kicked in and helped him to avoid a direct fight against Atomic Samurai. However, Atomic Samurai decided to settle the score with the apple cutting ritual. This is how King found himself in a spot where he could potentially lose his title as an S-class hero and possibly die a horrible death. King said that he isn't the best with swords, and guess what? My guy was right. The dude couldn't even unsheath the weapon. Do you know how bad you've got to be with a sword to not even be able to like, what the fuck? Oh, I love this series too much. King simply just got up and left, simply hoping that Atomic Samurai come up with something himself, and guess what? Since King's power is luck, he did. You see, Atomic Samurai believed that King sliced the apple so quickly that the apple didn't even realise it, and the cells joined up together again. Oh, I need a minute. This led to Atomic Samurai apologising for being so rude towards the strongest man on Earth, and he ended up going on a training regimen with his pupils to get even stronger. Quick round of applause for my guy King getting away with doing anything yet again. Later he finds out that Bang has left the Hero Association and visits his dojo in hopes of getting truly stronger this time. He outright refuses to take King in though as his student because what the hell could Bang possibly teach the strongest man on Earth, right? All this does is put King on an even higher pedestal as Bang believes that King's kindness and passion to help people knows no bounds. Still, he recommends King to visit his brother Bomb. Bomb then asks him to visit the final training ground where he ends up meeting Garou, who's in deep meditation under a waterfall. Now whilst Garou senses that King is hiding nearby, the two fortunately don't end up in a confrontation and King lives to see another day. Again, all because of his perfect look. Later on in the story, we see King doing push-ups vigorously as he tries to mimic Saitama's training. Now, if you are somehow not satisfied and want to know more about King's power in complete detail and what his look means exactly and how he got it, then watch the video that's being displayed to you right now. Go on. You're still here. What are you doing? Just click the damn video.